Hi, welcome to the channel. My name's Matt from Matt's Music, and today I'm going to be talking about something which you may or may not have seen already and may or may not be attempting to wrap your head around. I know I certainly was. I'd seen it a few places before I jumped into it myself and gave it a nudge. Believe me, it's terrifying. It gives you the sweats and it keeps you up all night. What am I going to do to my music collection? Is it going to ruin it forever, or am I going to benefit from the space that it saves and allow me to collect more music in a small space? We are talking, of course, about swapping the classic jewel case with these little thin plastic wallets. So I heed and hawed about this, as I think probably many people do, thinking about it. And I bit the bullet the other day. I've done about 500 of them so far. They come in packs of 100, the particular ones that I am using, just to see, first of all, if it was something that I could get along with. And secondly, is it going to ruin the experience of having the collection? What does it look like on the shelf? Does it fundamentally change the character of the way the music collection looks when it's out on display like this? And also, is it going to be easy to find things? Obviously, when you've got a jewel case, you have the spine, which gives you all of the information about the artist and the album, which is very useful. If you're scanning along a shelf, you can very quickly identify the artist and the album that you want to pick up and listen to. When you've got something which is a very narrow profile like that, of course, you can't see anything when you're looking directly at it from the edge. However, what I discovered is that if you wrap what would be the spine of the jewel case around the front of the front cover like that, you can actually see the information that's printed on it. So when they're in the shelf, like these here, for example, you can quite quickly pull them out and actually have a look and see, okay, right, so we've got Billy Ocean there, a bit more Billy Ocean. We've got in here, some of these I've kept in the original boxes, because if they're like this kind of thing, these sort of digipacks or booklet style, then you can't take them out. So I've left those in there. But stuff like this, I can see that's Oasis, and that's more Oasis, and what I've got here, it's Nirvana, Unplugged in New York, that's from the Bloody Bounce of the Whisker, Nevermind, so on. So you can come down, you can quite quickly see just by looking at those, Roy Orbison, what have we got here, Orbital, Dolores O'Riordan, Robert Palmer, Pearl Jam, so on and so on, Pet Shop Boys, Pink Floyd, what do we go, Wish You Were Here. Again, these ones I've kind of kept in these for the time being, these double ones. I think I might at some point transfer those as well though, because they are chunky boys and they do take up a lot of space on the shelf. But for the time being, I've just done the single style, just this style, single jewel case, the standard jewel case. And what I've discovered is that on a shelf like these, for example, I mean, you can, in one of these, fit about sort of 12, maybe a few more. Some of these aren't exactly the same width. When they're in very, very tightly, it's particularly difficult to get them out. Certainly on this set of shelves here, which you can't particularly see very well because it's a little bit hidden behind the record box here, but these you can't really get your fingers into. These ones the same, this is the same back here. If these are wedged up with the jewel cases, there's no room to get your finger out and sort of yank at things. These ones here, there's a little bit of headroom at the top, and so you can wedge them a little bit tighter and still get to the music. But I don't really like doing that for a couple of reasons. One, because I'm worried about potentially scratching the front of the jewel case or even breaking it getting out, because they are notoriously fragile things. But also because if they're too wedged in and everything's full up all the way, then there's obviously no room for expansion. And it only takes you to want to buy an album that fits somewhere in there, and then you've got to sort of recalibrate the whole set of shelves. And the problem that I have is that I live in a relatively small flat. I live in the UK, and those of you that know the UK will know that most of our homes are fairly tiny, and particularly flats here are not usually that big. So having a music collection does require a sacrifice of space to some degree. So by taking out 12 jewel cases and swapping them out for these, you can get about 3 or 4 times more. So sort of these, it's like you got like 36 of these plastic wallets in here compared to 12 jewel cases in these ones. makes a big difference. The spines are still relatively easy to read. You do have to be slightly careful because, of course, they are not as well protected as they would be if they were in a hard case, and so they are, particularly the corners, slightly more prone to being damaged. So you do have to handle them with care. You also have to be particularly careful when taking them out because, of course, paper is made of wood effectively, and so it can scratch things. So you have to pinch them a little bit just to be able to open it out without sort of scraping the CD along the sort of inside of the booklet, just to keep it in best and pristine condition. So you do have to be careful with them. And the other thing I would recommend is look for these cases that don't contain any PVC. You want to think it's polypropylene is the one you want. It's basically non-PVC because that can actually react with the booklet after a while, and it can stick to the booklet. I don't know if you remember CD-ROMs from back in the day when they would do that, and then when you tried to pull it out, it would sort of leave some of the print on the inside of the plastic. You don't want that. The other thing is that with certain CDs, they are prone to oxidization. It's a thing called disc rot. It's not very common, but on CDs that contain silver as a reflective layer instead of aluminium, the off-gassing from the PVC could potentially, along with the chemicals in the print and the paper in the booklets themselves, exacerbate the problem of disc rot. So I will be keeping an eye on these. I will be making, a concerted effort to make sure that there aren't any problems moving forward. But so far, I've done 500 of them. There's a long way to go, but I am really happy so far with the way it's turned out. It's particularly lovely to get four, for the width of the game, like in the same width that way, so the same shelf space as the game. I can fit News of the World, Queen 2, what's that one, Sheer Heart Attack, and Jazz. So that's pretty good, isn't it? That's a 4-to-1 ratio, and it's a 3-to-4 ratio, something like that, depending on how tight you want to pack them. Again, I don't want to pack them particularly tightly on the shelves. I want to be able to get in and actually sort of thumb through them and have a look at them. But I like that. It's a bit like having records. When you've got a set of records on the shelf, you get to sort of thumb through them a little bit, and that's rather nice. And they have a very similar form factor when they're done. You've got the artwork on the front. They're thin on the sides, but you can still sort of manage them if they're on the shelf properly, and you can sort of thumb through them and see them. And this is a very efficient way of packaging it because it's more or less just a square the same size as the circle inside it, which that then becomes, as opposed to if you've got a jewel case where the width of the actual physical media itself is tiny, and then it's got this enormous additional bulk that's being taken up. The other real advantage is weight. I actually did measure the weight of a CD in a jewel case, and it comes out to about 100 grams. The weight of one of these is around 20. So, this is 5 times the weight of this. And so then obviously if you're talking about a collection where it's hundreds or thousands, that makes a difference, particularly if you want to move house, for example. That will you'd be greatly appreciative of not having to carry so many boxes. Now, the jewel cases themselves, when you've taken those off, you have to try and find a way of disposing of those responsibly. You don't want to dump all of those in landfill. I've found that just doing the 500 that I've done so far yielded 8.5-9 bin bags full of jewel cases, which I then had to go and take off to be recycled. That you could probably compress them back down if you went to the trouble of putting the component parts back together again. I have to say I didn't. I just pulled them off and junked the bits individually in the bin and or in the bin bags, and then took them down to the recycling. And the other thing I would mention is that if you've got the only jewel cases I kept were ones where there's something embossed into it. So I think I had a Hootie and the Blowfish jewel case, like the front of the cover had Hootie and the Blowfish embossed into it. Blue Tones, Expecting to Fly again. That one had I think it was either Blue Tones or Expecting to Fly. It was either the name of the band or the album embossed into the case itself. So I've kept those just in case I ever want to put them back in them. But anything else, I don't need to keep, frankly, because if you do ever think you want to put them back in there, dual cases are plentiful to find, and it's not a difficult thing to replace. So yeah, and the other one is Queen Made in Heaven, which I've kept in that for the time being. I may change that over at some point, but you can see, I don't know if you can see because the light's not great, but you've got the Queen Q logo embossed into that bit there. Again, like, if you did want to replace it and you'd thrown that away, then it wouldn't look as nice as having that on it. So I've kept that like that. But the rest of them, I don't miss them at all. Time will tell if that changes in the future. But for now, I'm very happy. Anyway, that is my short rant about these. I'm very happy. I've ordered another 100 just to sort of carry on with it. I'm going to have a go at doing. This is my hip hop collection on this shelf. So I'm going to start on that next and try and compress that down. And the idea is that I want this area here to contain as much of my music as possible, because currently I've got sort of, I guess, most played or favourite or something here, but there's a bunch of it that's kind of like, in boxes and shelves around the place, and piled up and in shoe boxes and in the broom cupboard and everywhere else. So the more I can compress this down, the more of my music I can have in one place, and that to me is tremendous, because I like to be able to sit here and browse through and see stuff that I want to listen to and put it down the shelf. And if it's somewhere else, it's kind of out of sight, out of mind, and I sort of forget that I have these things, and they don't get played as often as they should. So that's it. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. As always, please subscribe, comment, share, and do all that social stuff so that this gets out there and other people see it, and I get the warm and fuzzies for knowing that somebody out there at least cares. Anyway, ciao, see you later, adios.